a story out front tonight, and it's an exclusive. Two brothers who spent almost 25 years in jail for a murder they say they did not commit. And tonight they're out on bond after a Facebook posting cast some doubt on their guilt. Okay, that is one sweet moment if you're those two men, Thomas and Raymond Hires. There they are, walking out of jail on Monday. Those first-degree murder convictions that had them trapped there for a quarter century, gone, overturned, thrown out. The Hires brothers were convicted of killing a drug dealer, but that was way back in 1987. It happened in Detroit's East Side. But since a 2009 Facebook posting, well, a few other witnesses came forward, and they had something else to say, including one man who said, yeah, the shooters weren't white. They weren't white, they were black. Now that is a massive difference in a case. And today, the prosecution filed an appeal because they're not happy about this. They worked hard to put them away, and they don't want to have to do this all over again. But you know what? They might have to do it all over again, depending on how this appeal goes. So out front tonight, let's talk to Thomas and Raymond Hires, along with their attorney, Valerie Newman. Wow, Thomas and Raymond, this is an amazing story, just truly amazing, and I can't talk about the case at all before I ask you how you're feeling, how you're doing, and how those last few days have been.
Well, we're feeling very happy and elated, and the last few days has been like a whirlwind of just some activity, but just meeting new family and getting to know everybody once again.
So, it's a very odd story when we hear the new witnesses saying, clearly you two were white, and the people who committed this crime, they say, could have been 4 or 5 black guys who jumped a fence and committed this crime. How on earth did you get embroiled in this, and do you know any of these black suspects who somehow are out there somewhere?
Absolutely not. We got embroiled in it by just being in the neighborhood that night, basically.
And that was it? Being in the wrong place at the wrong time?
Yeah, that's basically it, yeah.
Okay, so obviously this would be a good time to lend some clarity into how this whole thing shook out. Here's how it started. Robert Carney was a drug dealer. I think they called him Big Bob. Back in 1987 on June 26th, he was shot to death. In 1993, there was a man named John Heelscher. And John told his roommate, Kevin Zelenowski, that he was there when Carney was killed. He witnessed it. He tells Kevin that he and a high school buddy had gone up to Carney's house looking for some weed, when all of a sudden 4 or 5 black guys hopped a fence and put a gun to his head and then told him to get out, scram. Fast forward to 2009. Kevin sees a Facebook posting. This is pretty random, but he sees a posting that says something to the effect of, it's too bad that the Hires brothers are in prison for life. But that's when he decided, wait a second, I got to do some digging here. I remember something about this. And he found out that it was actually for the murder of that drug dealer that he remembered from so long ago. And it spawned a conversation that he had with his old roommate, John. Remember, John said he was there and he saw it? That it was 4 or 5 black guys? It wasn't 2 white guys at all? So Kevin tracked down John. And Kevin said, John, you have got to come forward. And in July of 2012, Thomas and Raymond's murder verdicts were reversed. And on Monday, they were granted bond, and today they're sitting in a studio talking to me because of it. And before I go on any further, Valerie, today the news hook to this story is that there is an appeal. Those prosecutors do not want to have to go back into that courtroom again. You're the appellate attorney. If these two gentlemen sitting, beside you do go back into a courtroom, can they win this case given all this new material from Kevin and John?
Absolutely. The prosecutors don't want to go back to a new trial because they can't retry this case. The case has been destroyed. The original case was based on 2 premises. One, there was a gentleman waiting to go buy weed from Mr. Carey, and he was standing in the street. He saw 2 white guys. He saw a car pull up, 2 white guys walk up the driveway, heard a shot, and saw the same 2 white guys running back, get in that car, and leave. So the first presumption is that they're the killers. The second presumption in the original trial was that they were Raymond and Thomas Hires. With the new witnesses, those presumptions have evaporated. So the prosecution has now absolutely no case against Raymond and Thomas Hires, because even at the original trial, the trial judge had enormous doubt, but not enough doubt that he wasn't willing to convict, but a lot of different disparate facts that he could not answer. And what this new evidence has done is answer almost every single question that that judge had at that time.
So Thomas and Raymond, do you think that perhaps it might have been Kevin and John, if their story's true, and they are the new witnesses in this case, if their story's true that they were amscreened for their lives, they might have been the two white guys seen running from the scene of the crime, and you two were fingered as the two white guys running from the scene of the crime?
Hang on. Actually, just one thing. It was Kevin Zielinski wasn't there.
Right. All right. I beg your pardon. It was John and his friend, and John told the story to Kevin. So I beg your pardon.
Right.
Same question again.
Right.
Do you guys think that this was a mistaken identity, that it was John and his friend, two white guys running from the crime, and they thought that it was you, two white guys running from the crime?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
But
they were there, and they were more or less victims themselves of the crime, and was told at gunpoint to leave, and they ran back to their car, got in, and drove away. And we were mistaken for them two young white men.
And not just young, they were teenagers, so they didn't really even bother to follow the case. I mean, they're kids, right? So why would they follow a court case to find out what happened? I have a question for you, and Thomas, I'd like you to weigh in on this really honestly. Facing what you were facing 25 years ago, knowing what was going down in that courtroom, did you or your brother ever consider a plea bargain just to hopefully get the time down and just do the deal even though you say you're innocent?
No, never. It never entered our mind. Something was asked to our attorneys at the time, and they didn't even consider it. There was no doubt in me and Raymond's mind that we wasn't going to do that. So when he told us there was a plea on the table, we said absolutely not.
Valerie, just quickly, this appeal that the prosecutors have launched, and again, it's a little convoluted. It's an appeal of what that judge just did, tossing out those verdicts. This appeal, if it's successful, it brings back those verdicts and sends these two men back to jail. Does this appeal have a shot?
No. I would say there's virtually no chance of this appeal moving forward. Judge Talon, who is the trial court judge in this case, heard exhaustive and extensive testimony about what happened that evening from numerous witnesses, and their stories all coalesced, and they're folks who haven't talked to each other for 25 years. The only theory the prosecution had during the evidentiary hearing was that there was a vast conspiracy. And how can there be a vast conspiracy among people who don't know each other? They don't talk to each other, and why would if anybody wanted to conspire to free them, why would they wait 25 years?
Thomas Hires, Raymond Hires,
that was the only
and Valerie Newman. I got to cut it there, but this has been fascinating and a lot of legal twists to it. I think a lot of people are learning a lot about the process and how it doesn't always work the way we'd like it to. We'll follow the case, and hopefully you'll come back and we'll find out how it finally is adjudicated. Thank you to all three of you.
All right. Thank you.
And